Good morning. I'm going to just jump right in this morning. The title is Relationship Mirrors and Defense Mechanisms. There is no area of my life where I feel more inadequate and immature than relationships involving my sexual nature. I believe most, if not all humans, have deep-seated issues in this area, and I don't believe many of us are healed. Since yesterday, when so many were giving me advice, actually even before that, I have been taking personal inventory of my experiences. Today, I am going to share as openly and honestly as I can some of my very personal issues. This will make many people uncomfortable, since most will mirror painful experiences others have had as well. I want to make it very clear that whatever I have experienced is not about the individuals with whom I interacted, but about me. Each is a reflection of my own issues, whether I like admitting that or not. There are lots of judgments here, and I know I need to forgive myself and others for perceived wounds. If I don't do this, I will never heal. It is my sincere hope that all of us will choose to heal and to help each other heal. I'm going to begin with my earliest recollections. At about age 14, I developed a strong infatuation for a young lady in my church. I even drew up marriage documents. I was going to get married to her when I was 18. She was almost 2 months older than me. Her birthday was August 31st, and mine, of course, is October 21st. I held her hand once, and we talked. I never had a date with her. I never kissed her. But I was madly in love with her. She was the one. Finally, about age 17, her dad came to me and said, "Ron, you're chasing the wrong sister." He was telling me that her younger sister liked me, which I had indications of that, but I wasn't interested in the younger sister. I wanted the older sister, and the older sister didn't want me. Around that same period of time, 17, I was with my friend. We now had driver's licenses, and we each had cars, and I was riding out in my friend's father's refurbished 1928 Buick. Whatever, it had room in the back behind the front seat for a bed. I mean, you could put your legs out all the way, and you couldn't touch the front seat in front of you. That's how big it was. Anyway, we stopped at a red light, and there were 4 girls there on the corner, and they jumped into they wanted to know if they could have a ride, and so they jumped in, and we ended up parking. And I ended up with one of the girls in the front seat, and my friend ended up in the back with the 3 other girls. They were all kissing each other and, everything back there in the back seat. And I got my first ever kiss. And I want to tell you, chills went up and down my spine. It felt absolutely wonderful I didn't even know about putting your tongue in somebody's mouth. That was the first time, and it sort of took me off guard. I didn't expect that, but it felt really good. Anyway, long story short, I did get her phone number, and I called her up later and asked her for a date. And she said, "I wouldn't go out with you. You're not a man. You're a mouse." And I went to my friend and said, "What did I do wrong?" He says, "Well, did you feel her up?" And I says, "Of course not." He says, "Well, that's what's wrong. She wanted you to." I said, "Well, I wouldn't do that." My awakening. my naive little boy, innocent. You're not good enough. You're a man. You're not a man. You're a mouse. I can't go out with you. And I fell in love again, or was infatuated again, with another lady that I worked with. And she was chasing a guy that had a fancier car than me and was more or less seen as a playboy. And he wasn't giving her the time of day, and she wasn't giving me the time of day. I knew that she liked him. She knew that I liked her. Everybody in the office knew that I liked her. I never went out with her, not once. I did go out with another lady that I worked with in the same office. And at one point, she said, I can't have sex with you. You're more like a brother. And so that was shot down. And my first ever attempted sexual experience, I went totally flaccid. And I mean, I'm talking, at this point, I'm 21 years old. 20 years old, I guess. 20 or 21, I can't remember. It's not like I'm an old man that I can't get it up and I have erectile dysfunction. It's that I'm nervous as hell. Here's this woman that is letting me touch her, and I can't have sex with her. And she says, what's wrong? Is it a war injury? Because I was out of the Army at that time. Anyway, I must have been 21. Long story short, we didn't have sex. In fact, I didn't have sex till I got married on my wedding night. And it wasn't great sex because I was nervous. I don't want to go into a lot of the details of that, but I felt very strongly that I was manipulated by the threat of I will kill myself if you break up with me. And that was the foundation of my first marriage, in which lasted 14 years. I never had sex with another woman until I was 36 years old. I was almost 22 when I got married. 36 years old was when I had sex with the second lady, and she had to drug me, literally, I believe, to get me into bed with her. She was trying, and I was resisting like crazy because I didn't want to just have sex. You see, I wanted a relationship. I knew even at that time that I really wanted something more than what I had experienced for 14 years. I wanted a relationship that was based on love, that wasn't based on manipulation and threats and insecurities, which were all over the place in my first marriage. All over the place. Hers more than mine, but she was reflecting mine. They were my insecurities too, but I didn't know it. I was blaming her the entire time of our marriage. And I used to pray, God, please let one of us die. I don't care if it's her or me, but please let one of us die. Because I wasn't happy in the marriage. We fought like crazy. I hit her. I would punch her in the arm to get her to leave me alone. And she'd yell at me, and then she'd start crying, you hit me. And I said, that's the only way I can get your attention. I'm sorry. I don't want to do that. I'm sorry. But please let me be. And it was often, here's what the issue was. It was often she wanted sex, and I didn't feel like it. And sex was used as a manipulative tool. And she was an expert at it. And again, it's not about her. These are my issues that other people are reflecting back to me, letting me know how I am. But I didn't see that then. I didn't know that then. I was very naive, very immature. Holy mackerel, time is flying. This is going to be a longer video, I think. We'll see. Anyway, Here's what I've experienced with women. During that time between marriages, when I started going out dancing for the first time and drinking for the first time since I was, from the time I was 21, I mean, I didn't drink for 17, 16 years, 15 years, I guess it must have been. From 20 or 21 until 36, I didn't drink at all. Alcohol, I'm talking about. And of course, I never was into the drug scene. In any case, I went out with this lady, and she said to me, "I can't do this to you." We were making out and approaching sex, and she says, "I can't do this to you." And I said, "Do what?" She says, "I've been doing to men what men have done to me, getting them interested in me and then dumping them. And I can't do that to you." So she was really honest with me. And have had women in my life that have been really aware enough and honest enough to tell me the truth. Another told me, "Ron, I can't have sex with you. You remind me of a priest. You've got the energy of a priest, and I can't have sex with you because of that." Another lady that I fell in love with, her husband was living with another woman. And I ended up, when I first met him, I liked him a lot. He's a great, great guy. We became really good friends. And they got back together again, and they're still together to this day. But it seemed like whenever I would really like somebody, they wouldn't like me. And then there were others that really liked me, but I wasn't attracted to them for one reason or another. There was just no attraction from my end. So I've been on both sides of that coin. And I've often felt rejected. Why can't somebody that I love me back? Why? Why does it have to be this way? And so the insecurities come up. Now, I did have a relationship that I want to touch on briefly. Actually, two relationships where I was the other man. And I'm not talking about married women here. I'm talking about women that were dating more than one man at the same time and having sex with both of them. In one case, I remember the last time we made love, when I held her on my lap and we were sitting facing each other face to face, and I'm holding her and looking into her eyes. And she said, "Nobody ever loved me like you." And I don't remember even what reason she gave at this point in time. I really don't remember. But she chose the other man. And she made it clear that was what she was choosing. I don't remember why she didn't choose me. But we had watched the movie Gandhi just prior to that. And she said, "You're like Gandhi." And I don't know if that had anything to do with it or not. I don't know if that was ever articulated or not. I've thought about it, and that was the impetus, if you will, for the Prince and the Princess Mystery of Destiny that I mentioned yesterday. Prolific poetry flowed as a result of the pain of her choosing someone else. And that was my first real lover after my marriage, and a woman by the same name as my first wife. Interesting. But the other lady that I'm mentioned that was in a that I was in a love triangle with, she actually, on one occasion, went out with the other guy, came home after midnight, and called me on the phone and said, "Ron, can you come over?" And she wanted to make love. And she told me, I don't know if it was that night, but while we dated for a number of weeks, and she said, "He's a lousy lover." And we watched Don Juan DeMarco together in her bed. And she said, "I wanted you to watch this with me because that's how you are." But she reached a point where she made a choice for the other man. Even though he was the lousy lover, he was the rich man. He was the man that owned a bunch of properties and owned a boat and had a couple of fancy cars in his driveway. And she chose the money over the better sex from her point of view, not mine, from her point of view. And she said to me, she's the only one that ever gave, well, no, there's two that actually gave me a reason why they were leaving. She said to me, and I'll never forget it, "I can't be with you, Ron, because you want to fly, and I'm not ready to fly yet." And the other one was the lady that I was engaged to, who initially the reason was, you deserve a complete woman. She had just had a hysterectomy. And I didn't see her as an incomplete woman at all. But it later came out, we were friends for a long time after we actually split up and ended the engagement. We were still friends. And she did tell me that she just wasn't interested in the spiritual aspect to the degree that I was. I mean, she liked it a little bit, but it wasn't her passion. It was my passion. It wasn't hers. So she didn't want to go where I wanted to go. Again, she might well have said the same thing the other lady said, but those weren't her words. But once again, and I totally loved this lady, totally loved her, but she chose another man. These are the wounds that I will bring into any relationship. It's not about Gina or anybody else. It's about me. These are my wounds. These are my things. And I have met women that I have run from. Defense mechanisms go up. Some behavior comes up that I don't like. I could go into more detail, but I'm not going to. And I would run away. I would cut the relationship off. I don't want to go there. And I asked Margie many times, when one of our mutual friends that I was interested in cut me off totally with no explanation. And then I felt like Gina was doing that to me much more recently. And I asked Margie, "Why do women do this?" And she said to me, "Ron," she says, "did you ever stop to think that they can't give you a reason right there because they don't know what it is themselves? When they haven't gotten in touch with that part of themselves yet, and all they know is that they feel bad, and they blame you because they feel bad. They think it's you, that you're the problem." And I've thought a lot about that in the last few days since she told me that, because I told her that earlier in the week. I says, why do women do this? Why when I put questions out there that I need answers to, why don't women answer me? Well, maybe they don't know the answer. Maybe they need a few days or some time to ponder and think about it and get in touch with that part of their own being and recognize their own issue that's being reflected back to them in my insecurities, in my need to have answers. As I said in the blurb, it is my desire to heal me. Whatever Gina or anyone else chooses, whatever someone else chooses to relate to me, or how they choose to relate to me, is their choice. Just as it is my choice how I choose to relate to anyone else. I don't owe anyone anything, and no one owes me anything. Relationships must be always a free choice. I've seen enough manipulation. I've been on both sides of it. Both sides of it. Sex is often a manipulative tool. I've experienced it. I've experienced it. And it shouldn't be. It should be a tool or a gift actually used to help each other heal from the wounds that we've experienced as human beings in a world where separation has been the paradigm, the reality of the experience that we've all gone through. It is my sincere desire that many of us, if not all of us, will choose to heal. And I do believe that we can only do that by helping each other heal, by forming relationships where there is a commitment from the onset that we're going to work together to become the best we can be, and where we continue to see the divine in each other, and we continue to see the wounded inner child and help that wounded inner child get over its insecurities and over its issues, and stop using defense mechanisms and sarcasm to hold the other person at bay because we're uncomfortable with their issues, not recognizing that those issues are our own. I'm beginning to see, and I'm hoping that this video will help you see a little more clearly. Somebody says, you're directing this to Gina. Yes, I am, but it doesn't matter the name. It's not about Gina. It's about humanity. It's about us. It's about divine beings in bodies that have sexual needs to touch and be touched, to love and be loved. And we've experienced a lot of pain and a lot of wounding. All of us have. Please, whatever your choice, however you choose to partner up with whoever you choose to partner with, choose to heal, choose to see each other, choose to allow each other to be real with you. Let the intimacy go deeper than it's ever gone before. It's beyond the sexuality. It's deep spiritual and emotional wounds. Help the other person heal, because when you do, you heal too. That's the way it works. That's the new paradigm relationship. Let's create millions of them all over the planet till the planet is in peace. Finally. Thank you for listening. Namaste.